Hello again, my name is Dr. Bill Johnson. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Exploring Our Schools. Today really is an eventful day. It is one in which we have an opportunity to share something very special with students and a wonderful teacher at Watson School. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to describe it. I'm going to allow them to do that for me. Trish Montemarano, who is our stellar teacher at Watson School, has joined us today, along with both a fifth grader and a fourth grade student. Evangeline Groshine, thank you very much for joining us. And Paul Marquardt, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to start with the teacher and talk a little bit about what we're going to focus on today, which is called Endless Possibilities. So if you don't mind, Trish, just talk a little bit about what the intent was, what this was all about.
Okay, so Endless Possibilities was a result of a grant written to the Rockville Center Education Foundation last spring. I co-wrote it with a fellow teacher, and what we wanted to do was to bring STEAM education, which is science, technology, education, arts, and mathematics, into the elementary schools in a vibrant, meaningful way that the kids could really get their hands on and appreciate. So we were granted the funding, and we started the planning over last summer and into the fall. That we had activities, age-appropriate activities for every grade level. So, for example, students in the fifth grade, Paul and his peers, started right out by constructing these marble runs. They studied principles of gravity and motion and speed and velocity, and they put these marble run kits together, which were quite challenging, gave an opportunity to work with other students and figure it all out, and he'll show you them in a minute. Fourth graders participated along with the third graders in a wonderful initiative known as the Worldwide Cardboard Challenge. And what they did was they created games, interactive games, using cardboard, recycled materials, and their imaginations. And the result was truly amazing. Fourth graders and fifth graders also had the opportunity to program robots. Third graders worked with circuit boards and understood principles of engineering. Second graders got an early start on an hour of code, which the whole school will participate again in December next month with the Worldwide Hour of Code, which was a great success last year, and we're going to carry over again this year. And first graders and kindergarten children had ample opportunities with Legos and building blocks and power clicks and these straws and connectors where they build giant multi-dimensional objects. So I'm realizing that I'm speaking in the past tense, and I think the reason I'm doing that is because we held an evening of Endless Possibilities on October 26th, where over 240 students and their families came to Watson. The halls were abuzz with families, and there was literally activities set up in the gym and every classroom.
Students actually did something.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you do, Paul?
For what I did was I kind of was the person who was like, when people came by, people were observing, and we let them try out our marble runs that we put together and we worked really hard on.
Well, that didn't look like that when it came in a box, did it?
No, because it took a while. We had to get every little piece to go on. We had to put poles on, and every day we had to go one step at a time, and as we kept going on and on, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and now it turned into a
you
marble.
actually developed something. We get back to the word gravity. Do you understand what that means?
Yes. Gravity is the thing that's like keeping our marble on the track.
I know that, but I see some loops down there, and I think I've been on, maybe not recently, but on rides that take me upside down. It looks to me like a marble there is going to go upside down. How does that work?
The way that works is by the speed. The speed it has going down the little hill right there. The speed helps it get a little boost over the loop, so it has enough to go around and then come back up.
So it sticks to the track as it goes up and makes that loop,
Why don't you
right?
demonstrate it?
Okay.
So we've come very well prepared with our little marble, right?
Yes.
So, here we go. Whoa.
Perfect.
I picture myself riding down that little car, right? Huh? So I suspect that people who have tried to work on rides at amusement parks probably have developed models just like this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. So the parts that you had to put together were what? These were tubes?
Yeah, these were actually two different tubes, but they didn't come like next to each other.
Uh-huh.
If you could see up here, there's just one tube here and one tube here, and they just go all the way around.
So I noticed that you have to space the clips at strategic locations.
Yeah. Well, these are specific ones that are hooked up, but the ones that are in the air like this
Right.
are connectors that you could, it's called tweaking it, that you could turn to make it have different angles and try to find out a way to get the marble all the way around and then.
But you can never let the path get so wide that the marble drops through, right?
Yes.
So you have to space that also, right?
That's what these are for too.
So this takes a lot of planning on your part.
Yes.
And some mathematics, because the tubing that we're talking about came in a giant roll. So the students had to measure how long, how much tubing they were
Oh,
going to need.
and
So
then
we
cut
had
it.
the library, lengths and lengths of tubing. And the issue was, if you cut it too short, there was no more. It came with one set of tubing, so we had a lot of careful planning, measuring, remeasuring before we made the cut. That was actually like a nerve-wracking day, because we knew
Yes.
that we had to get it perfectly. And the students did a fantastic job with that.
So Evangelina sat here very quietly, but I suspect you did something very special also.
Yeah, all the fourth graders and third graders made these cardboard games. Me and my friend made a soccer game where you would try and bounce a soccer ball off of the back of the game and try and get it into the goal.
But it wasn't made out of wood or
No.
plastic, and it didn't come in a box. What did you have to do?
We took actual cardboard boxes and made them
Where'd they come from? At home and in school?
home. Yeah, and then we have some boxes at school where books would come from, and we would use those.
So you had to figure out what size would be appropriate for,
Yeah.
how big is your game?
Like, I don't know, like that big.
And it's an actual soccer ball?
No, it's like a little bouncy ball
Uh-huh.
as a soccer ball.
So it's a table game that you created?
Yes.
Right, similar to what he did there, but you made it out of cardboard?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? How much design? Spent
Oh,
lot
a
of time?
lot.
Really?
We painted it, we named them, and we had cardboard toilet paper goalies, and you would try and avoid them.
Oh, really? So-
Yeah.
All right, so there's a real challenge to winning this game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it went from a piece of paper where the kids, got in groups. We had shown them a video that explained it called Cade's Arcade last year when Evangeline was in third grade, last June. So we sent notice home to the parents that this is what we're working on. If you found any unusual cardboard over the summer, please bring it in. And we replayed the video again to refresh their memories in the fall. And the kids worked in partnerships or groups of threes, and they started out with ideas, and some of them were viable, right, Evangeline, and some of them were not. And they really learned how to collaborate, design, make something work, test, and retest. And we got the art teacher involved, Mrs. O'Brien. She came by and said, we got to paint these. These are wonderful. So it was really a multidisciplinary approach, and the kids will have the opportunity to write about their experience as well, to try everything together.
So was this a combination, did you do everything during the school day, or did you come after school and work on this?
Well, for them, I think they did both, but for us and for the fifth graders, we were put into groups to build these, and we did this all in school, nothing at home, because we needed to make sure that everything was right, because if there was something wrong, everyone wouldn't be on the same page, and everything would just get messed up.
And the entire team had to understand, right?
Yes.
And you had to really work together on making
Yeah.
sure that all came together at the end, right?
We kicked it off right in literally the first day of the first cycle, and we basically did during the Stellar classes, but we had wonderful, wonderful cooperation from all the Watson teachers. So we had planned, we
Right.
had talked to the teachers last spring and let them know what was going on, and then we sat down and blocked it out. So the teachers were on board, the support staff was on board, the children were very on board, and that made it. And I just wanted to go back to what I said before, because I don't mean to just speak in the past tense. This is ongoing. Although we've had our night of endless possibilities, we're going to continue with this initiative through June. Beginning next month, all the students K to 5 will be coding, an hour of code, which they really look forward to as well. And then further in January and beyond in 2017, we will revisit and bring new projects in for the students
That's
to work
great,
on.
Great. Now, we also have two other guests here today. Anybody looking at this table recognizes the fact that there are two things here. They haven't done a lot of speaking, but do they have names?
This is called the S2 Scribbler robot.
Okay.
Its name is Scribbler because you could put a Sharpie marker right through this top and take off the cap.
Right.
And you put it, make sure.
Well, we can't see that, but there's a hole right in the middle of that, right?
Yes, right here.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so you can put a Sharpie in that.
But
And if you put that on a piece of paper?
Yeah, you have to make sure a piece of paper is under it, and it's really fun but it's kind of a little.
Now, do you
it's-
whisper to that? I mean, how does it,
have
no, what
to-
do you do? How
you
does
have
it,
to,
how do you make it go?
There's a cord that comes with it that you connect to the top.
Okay.
And then right here, then you connect the cord to
Well, does that get connected to what?
a laptop.
Okay,
And you connect the cord to the laptop. Then there's an app you get on your laptop.
okay.
Then when you get the app, you have to go to the app, get it all running, and then there's all different methods you put in for it to do. It could play music, it could blink lights, it could do a lot. And you could make it draw circles, lines,
Okay,
shapes.
but this is programming. So you have to
Yes.
go in and at the keyboard then have to decide what you're going to select. And so what do? You decide what the steps are that it's going to?
Yes.
How do you do that?
We on the computer, there's all little things there's a music box you press.
Uh-huh.
You have to choose your music, and they're little tunes, no singing. And there's also this you have to always put in a pause for a lot to make it stop, to make it turn, and you get to make it do all of that.
So why do I think that you actually did something with this little guy over here?
Yes.
All right, so what are you going to have him do for us today?
He's already programmed, so we're gonna have it with no marker. We're just gonna have it we're gonna have it play music first.
So you left the laptop back at school.
Yeah.
You pre-programmed it, so
Yeah.
it retains in its memory someplace what it is
Yes.
that it's supposed to
Yes,
do.
he pre-coded it.
Shouldn't we
So
all
it
be
was-
able to do
It was
that, right?
elements of coding is what they use to
Yeah.
program the
Okay.
app.
Yes.
All right, so you think it's going to work?
Yes.
What's it going to do?
It's gonna play some music. It's gonna have blinking lights up here, and then it's gonna go forward and do a little turn.
And you told it to do all of that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's see. Pretty good.
Yes.
Now, that looks very simple, but it's not so simple, and you have to
No.
understand
Yes.
all of the different commands that are on the computer in order to get it to
Absolutely.
remember what it's supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. The students had the elements of coding last year from the Hour of Code. So when we introduced the robots this year, they all said, "Oh, this is the coding we did." So it was a really great segue from the coding to now a real application of programming a computer.
Right. And we should say, by the way, that you can get it to do a lot more than that. We just knew that you were going to be working on a small surface, right? We didn't want it driving off the end of the table.
Could have gone all over. but
No,
we
that's
wanted
right.
to-
No,
yes,
no,
yeah,
right. I think,
yeah.
thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate that. Okay. Now we have another friend over here.
Yes.
What is this?
This is the Mio robot.
Yes.
It's a little less complicated
Okay.
than the Scribbler robot. You can put a pencil here and have it maybe draw something, and there's a magnet down here if you want to try and pick up a paper clip.
Uh-huh.
And so there are a couple buttons on the back,
Yeah.
and you press the top right button, and then you can make it do whatever you want. And then you just press it again, and then press the middle button.
Now, when you say you're pressing the buttons, do you press them in a particular sequence? I mean, do you
Oh,
know?
well, you can do whatever you really want.
Okay.
So
So what are you going to have it do? Anything in particular?
it's going to go forward, and then it's going to do 360, and then it's going to go backward.
Now, how do you know that? You can figure out what it's going to do by pressing
Well,
certain buttons?
There's an arrow that goes up, which means forward, and then an arrow that goes to the right, which means right.
Okay.
And then an arrow that goes down, which means backward, and then an arrow that goes to the left, which
Okay.
means.
And you push them in a certain sequence, and then it's going to
Yes.
do exactly as you told it to do?
Yes.
Well, let's hope it does.
She's very
right?
good. She's very good.
Huh? Let's see. Whoa. Pretty good. Isn't that interesting? I mean, what do you think you learned from this?
I think you learn like how to program a robot, obviously, but there's also like more into it than like people think. It could help you like for other problems in your life in engineering, because if you want to be an engineer, this would be like a little head start for you already.
What do you mean by that? I think that's wonderful that you say that. I mean, what grade are you in?
Fifth.
What grade?
Fifth.
And you're talking about being possibly an engineer? Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you think along those lines?
It made me think about that because like I really feel strong about technology and these robots, and I really like I like building and creating, and I like controlling things because I really like robots a lot because I think they're very interesting, and they're like a really good piece of technology.
Whoa, that's wonderful. Evangeline, what about you?
I agree with what he said about being an engineer. You'll get to know, and I find this very interesting that you can program a robot, and it's really like it in the beginning it'll be a little difficult, and then once you get the hang of it though, you got it, and you could just think about it, and it's really easy, and you put it together, and you'll make mistakes, but from those mistakes you will learn, and it's great to learn things about robots, and they're very just cool.
You know what's interesting is that at the end of the day, that was sometime in your brain. You thought about it and you created this. Even the programs, what you were just saying just 1 minute ago about thinking through, you thought about what it was that you wanted this thing to do, and then you decided and you programmed it. But you actually thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in your brains, you thought about the plan, the program. So it's just not, the robot doesn't do it. Who does it?
Well,
The robot does.
yeah, the robot does move for us, but we're the ones that choose the code
Yes.
for it. So
Right.
like it's like whatever we put in for it to do, it's like copies what your command is.
Exactly. So there's an awful lot of thinking that goes into this, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even on this, there's a lot of thinking that goes into
Yeah.
it. I think that's probably the more fascinating aspect of this to me.
Well, that's what we're trying to bring out. Even as young as the kindergarten and first grade children with the power clicks and the Legos and the thinking and constructing and building and what can I do and what is the plan. Yes, they're toys and they're fun, but let's think about it. How can I connect this straw to this connector? What can I build? What object can I make? Where does this go? Where do I see it going? And for us, in the elementary level, if we've whet an appetite for these children, if we've opened the door to a new domain of academics that they haven't considered before, if Paul and Evangeline join the robotics club in the middle school, and Paul, I know, will probably become an engineering major in college. Evangeline loves singing, but that involves a lot of mathematics as well. We've done our job. We've
Yeah.
opened up a new possibility to them, an endless possibility to them, that the future is theirs. And, these students are digital natives. They're growing up in a digital world. Our job is to stay one step ahead.
Right. I couldn't have said it better than that. We're actually at the very end, and I want to thank both of you for joining us today. You guys were wonderful. Thank you so much. One of these days, if I need an engineer to come and fix something here in the school system, I know who to call. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you
This
for
was
having
great.
us. Thank you.
All right? Thank you all for joining us. And we are all about endless possibilities. And I really hope you believe that after seeing what we can do with these two youngsters today. Thank you very much for joining us. We look again to seeing you soon again. Bye now.